A year or so ago, I was sat on a patio in a rather large and expensive house in the south of France, listening to the impassioned tones of a wise old liberal berating the sluggish global response to the imminent climate catastrophe. At various points during this virtuous lecture, my eyes would wander slightly from his face and over his shoulder towards the 50-foot-long uncovered swimming pool in a huge and beautiful garden, steam gently rising off the surface, even on this hot summer evening. In between serious nods at emphatic moments, I pondered whether it might be worth raising the issue of the gentleman's own contribution to the imminent climate apocalypse. But having done so in the past, I have learned that we do not often appreciate being confronted by the practical consequences of our own ideology. So on he went, and then off he went, rather smugly, to bed. We are developing an alarming habit in the West of talking the talk being sufficient without having to do the more irksome task of walking the walk. Virtue has replaced duty, victimhood has replaced courage, and telling others to make their beds whilst your own bed linen lies strewn on the floor from this morning. Which brings me on to Liz Truss. As I watched her speech, I was reminded and stirred by some view of the conservatism of old, the slashing of red tape and taxes, taking on the anti-growth brigade, the sharp and wise U-turning cuts for the rich. Growth, 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 she thundered, rallying calls of the hard times ahead. But we are going to get there, optimistic old-school conservatism. A new way which would replace the peculiar one second to midnight of late-term Boris Johnson's floppy, greeny-weeny carry-servatism. I was feeling pretty good. But then came the dreaded words, net zero. I'm not much of a fan of zero anything, other than murder and things like that. This dislike was heightened greatly during my zero COVID days of not so long ago. To me, it smacks of an unhealthy coupling of unchallengeable ideology combined with reams of expensive bureaucracy, all to achieve, literally, zero. Now, that's not to say that I don't want a cleaner and greener planet. Every sane person does. But we have to get our energy from somewhere, and it seems that the current plan is to shut down our own energy supply, call our friends at Juanju Solar Panels and Wind Turbines Limited in China, and make a big order. Our Chinese chums quickly knock up a coal-fired power station next door and start sending panels and windmills by the boatload. See also, Australian brown coal shipped half the way around the world to fuel our much-needed coal-fired power stations rather than offend the eyes of those who cannot bear the sight of their Tesla being charged by our own dirty fossil fuels. Zero isn't optimistic at this juncture. It is a pipe dream. Not to mention that study after study shows that a very effective way to reduce carbon emissions globally, and for any of this to work at all, it has to be done globally, is to increase GDP globally. So if we can make the world richer, we will make the world cleaner. This is commonly called a win-win. In time, this innovative little species of ours will create energy that is clean and abundant, and we should aim high and for as soon as possible. But we have to deal with the now. More and more people are falling into energy poverty, so let's put net zero on the shelf for a while. Discuss becoming focused on energy self-sufficiency. I'd rather not have my energy supply reliant on the particular whims of a dangerous psychopathic Russian lunatic, for example. The future is right beneath our feet. Decades of it to keep us warm until renewables can fill the gap. And if the PM really wants growth, she should scrap net zero and invest in sustainable, renewable energy development. But don't scrap fossil fuels when we need them most. Otherwise, the only thing that will be at net zero this winter is the thermometer in your living room. So, I'm asking you, is it time to actually scrap net zero once and for all?